Hello guys, and welcome back to another speed build on my channel. Today is part 1 of 2 of a renovation of Wolfsbane Manor. Now, I have been wanting to do this for quite some time. It's one of the builds that I really enjoy from well, this one was made by EA, so I actually really enjoy this build. It's a really nice layout. Well, I do actually change the layout, but I actually really enjoy it as well. It's such a beautiful looking build, and I like Victorian style houses anyway, so yeah. So what you can see now is me getting rid of all the interior, everything, getting rid of all of the windows so I can redo it to how I want to do it. And I did take this house obviously out of Forgotten Hollow and put it into Willow Creek. Sorry, bit of a sore throat, still getting over a horrendous cold, flu, virus, whatever I had. But yeah, back to the build. I took it out of the vampire world, put it into Willow Creek, and just did it up a little bit, changed the brick colour, made it not so gothic-y, if you can say that, like not so dark. But because this renovation did actually take me quite a while to do, I think overall it took me, I would say, 4 to 5 hours, and for me to get it down to two like half an hour parts is pretty good, I think, because I was going through a lot of the debug items and stuff like that in order to try and get this to a standard where I liked it. And I did initially want to play in this house, but it didn't exactly go that way, you know. I didn't really, at first I wanted it for my gameplay, and I was like, no, I don't think so. I'll have it in the world, but I won't necessarily use it, unfortunately. But I do love the way it came out and the style and everything. Obviously in this part I'm not doing the interior, I'm literally just doing the exterior of the build. So you'll see me doing a lot of landscaping, and I think on the outside I do put a greenhouse as well, which this build would be perfect for a gardening loving sim. And if you've already seen this on the gallery, I did actually put this up a while ago on the gallery, probably maybe 3 days to a week ago, I think, something like that, because I wanted to get it out straight away, and the speed build has come to a standstill until now, because I don't know if you watched my previous build, I think I stated this in my previous build, that I have been so ill. As soon as it hit winter, I have just suffered so much. I've had a lot of days off of work because of how I've been feeling and how down it's made me, and just, oh, it's been horrific. I don't know if you guys have gone through this either, but I kept on getting fevers and sore throats. I'm still got a little bit of a sore throat, but not as bad as I had it. I can actually talk now, which is a massive plus, obviously, because I was at work and I literally couldn't do anything really because I couldn't talk, and it was the most annoying, frustrating time. And I've been ill for, well, like I said, since winter hit, but more so for a good month I've been ill. So yeah, it just hasn't been going well for me. I've been basically bedridden for however long, but I am okay now-ish, trying to get over my illness and all sorts of things. Obviously it could very much be worse, it could have been a lot worse, and I'm grateful for that, but I get going really off topic, I mean, I get really bad headaches. I get migraines quite often, and I got a few days ago, I got such a bad headache that I was on the brink of calling the ambulance because it was that bad, but I didn't. Obviously my boyfriend got me meds and stuff, and it was good from then on, but it's not been a good time, guys. It hasn't been a good time, but I am glad to be getting over it. I am so glad to be feeling like a normal human being again-ish, if you can call it a normal human being. So yeah, oh, it was horrendous. But back to the build. Sorry for that little tangent there. But yeah, back to the build. I really wanted to use the Get Famous windows and the I can't remember what it's called. Strangerville. There we go. Strangerville doors, if you could call it. Just because I really wanted this build to be. Oh, sorry, just hit my mic, sorry. I really wanted this build to be, so it's an old Victorian house, but it's recently been renovated. So all of the windows have been changed to nice upgraded windows. Something that you can really, you know, count on. Not like if you've ever lived in a Victorian building or, you know, a really old Victorian building, you'll notice that the windows are not that great. Obviously they're not double glazed, so they're single glazed, and the sealant isn't the greatest around them. You know, they let in water, they let in wind, air, everything, and it is the worst. I tell you, it's the worst thing. I used to live in a flat, and it was an old Victorian building, much like this one, but it was in a row of Victorian buildings. So it was smushed together all on this one road, and it had about 4 floors going up and a few floors going down. So it was a pretty ridiculous, massive Victorian building that you can imagine in the Victorian times. You know, this wealthy family would have had that house. There would have been servants' quarters up in the loft, in the smaller compartments, and, you know, the family would have had the rest of the house. And I had, sorry, I think me and my boyfriend lived in the one just below the attic. So we had a very, very big flat. For just the two of us, it was way too big. We had, I think it was a 3-bedroom flat, and it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous, but I miss it so much. That flat was beautiful. There was, as soon as you walked into the front door, there was a massive hallway. Off to the left was what we had as the living room, which was ridiculously big. There was obviously fireplaces in every single room, apart from obviously the kitchen and the bathroom. So off to the left was our living room, and then just in front of that was the kitchen, and then you went down a hallway which was a really big bathroom. And then you come out of the bathroom, off to the right, if you're still standing at the front door, off to your right was a smaller bedroom. Off to that right was another medium bedroom, and then behind that was like our bedroom that we had. And we have a king size bed, right? We have a king size bed, and in that flat, the bedroom was ridiculous. So our king size bed looked like a single bed in that bedroom, so you can kind of get a, you know, an estimation of how big our flat was. And it was brilliant because you could have so many people around. So my boyfriend likes wrestling, so he would have wrestling nights. Not wrestling nights where he would wrestle with his friends, nothing like that, but he would obviously WWE and stuff like that, they air really late in the morning, so it would be like 1-2 o'clock in the morning when it would air, and it would go on for a few hours. So my boyfriend and his mates would be in the living room and I would be in the bedroom, or as we used to say, this, I think it was the third bedroom, our like game room, and you wouldn't be able to hear each other. You could just bugger off into another room and it would be the best because you wouldn't see each other for a day. And that's what's pretty good about that situation, because obviously I love my boyfriend, he loves me, but we had such a big space to live in. We could have our own days by ourselves and, you know, pass each other in the hallway and you'd be like, all right, see you later, bye. And it was the greatest. Obviously we don't live in that flat anymore. I really do miss it, but like I was saying, the windows were so bad in that flat, and because it was so big, the heating bills would just be off the charts, because obviously we would have to turn the heating up to heat all of the flat, and because the windows were letting in so much like wind, cold wind, it was horrendous. And they used to let in water as well. If there was rain against one of the windows, they would just seep water. So I wanted to give this house a feeling of, you know, they've had enough, they wanted it renovated, and you know, it just looks better. And I think these windows are actually like multi-purpose windows. I think they can fit into any kind of build you do. You could do a modern build, they would fit perfectly. You could do like a suburban build, they would fit perfectly. You could do a Victorian build, example A, they would fit perfectly. You know, they're just really good windows. And of course, the door that came with Strangerville, obviously the doors that came with Strangerville are perfect for a Victorian home, because they have the stained glass windows that are just around the frame, and they're beautiful. They're like so ornate and pretty that, you know, they fit. So really happy with that. Sorry. Woo! Oh guys, trying to talk with a kind of a sore throat is not the one. It's not the one. But at least I did actually try this voiceover a couple of days ago. Near enough when I put the speed build up is when I tried to do the voiceover, and when I did that I was coughing like every 5 minutes and it was horrendous. I tell ya, horrendous. It was not good. Obviously I could hardly speak, so you couldn't really understand what I was saying. I was just like, oh, I really wish I could have been better, but obviously you can only do what your body can do. So I gave up. I scrapped the voiceover on that one, and I kept it. Obviously I kept the footage and stuff until I could speak again, and, you know, not having a scratchy cough, basically. So yeah, that is my tangent about the windows and the doors. And obviously I did do the interior to a certain extent. I did put the wallpaper in. I put it, oh my god, English is not my strong suit. I put the flooring down, the really nice flooring, which I really enjoyed. I actually kept the flooring on the patios, as you see on the outside, because it was really nice, and I've never actually used that flooring. I've never had that idea to use that flooring on the patio. It's kind of like a concrete flooring, but it's in sections. It kind of looks like the Get Famous marble flooring that we had that was in sections, and that one's really pretty as well, but this is like a concrete flooring in sections. So it was beautiful, so I kept it. And obviously I gave this build a basement as well, because originally, like I said, I wanted to use this for my own gameplay, and I wanted to have a basement, because normally in Victorian builds they do have a basement, a downstairs, which I guess you would say, I mean, I don't know my history on Victorian builds or anything like that, so don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure the basements used to have where the servants would work, so they would have a kitchen that they would use down in the basements, and or like washing implements and stuff like that to wash clothes. I'm pretty sure down in the basement, so they wouldn't get in the you know, master or whatever they called them in their way, the people that owned the house. So yeah, you know, they would definitely have basements of some sort. I didn't actually put a loft in this build because, for one, the floor plan was a bit all over the place. Oh, I mean, there is a room above the roof, so obviously the Wolfsbane Manor, if you've ever seen it in Forgotten Hollow, it does have a room just above the roof, so you have this little sort of attic room, but obviously in real life they would have been bigger, and they would have been for the servants and their rooms and, you know, kitchens, bathrooms, stuff like that. So, you know, it's what it is. Obviously I couldn't do it any bigger just because I thought I would ruin the roofing, and I like the roofing the way it is. So yeah, here I am actually putting in a greenhouse. I really wanted to use these lovely ornate windows. I thought they were so pretty, and I haven't actually used them yet, and I just thought they suited this build so much. Obviously I didn't use the Get Famous windows that I did on the actual house, because I don't think it suits a greenhouse, but these windows are perfect for a greenhouse. I did actually try to make it a bit bigger so there would be more room, like what I'm doing here. I did try to make it a bit bigger, but unfortunately it just didn't look right, because like I said, the windows are quite ornate, so I thought if I made it bigger it would be too much. The windows would just overpower everything and it would be too much, so I kept the size that I had. Sorry if my voice is changing slightly. Like I said, I'm still not over my cough, so now and again I do have to take a break and cough, which isn't great, I know that. So I don't know if my voice will be slightly out of sync about what I'm talking about in the build. Hopefully not. Hopefully I'll be able to edit it, you know, in a okay way. Oh dear. I was trying, like what I'm doing here, I was trying to make it a bit unique, so like it was an old greenhouse, and use different roofing, but it didn't go very well, obviously, just because of the way the roofs are. If you're using like a see-through roof and you put two roofs together, it doesn't make sense, because you can see the other roof and you can see the roof parts through the, like here you can see the roofing, and I was just like, okay, scrap it, I'll just make it simple, make it a bit bigger, but you know, keep it much more simpler than what I did have it as. So I'm pretty happy about that. And obviously, as you can see, I did do a lot of landscaping around this as well. Normally I'm not a landscaping person, but I actually found the landscaping very, very calming, because at the time, like I said, I was really ill, I couldn't really speak much, and normally I just don't, when I'm playing in my own gameplay, I don't tend to do landscaping all that much. I'm a person that doesn't really tend to pay attention to it, but this time I went all out, obviously, because it's a Victorian build, and you know, at some point there would have been Victorian people living in this build. There would have been the best landscaping you can possibly imagine, so I wanted it to, you know, let that shine through. And so yeah, I spent quite a bit of time on the landscaping. As you will see, I did cut some of it out, obviously because I didn't want you guys sitting through, you know, like a 40 to 50 minute build. I managed to cut it down to about 33, so I'm happy with that. And what I was trying to do is make it a bit sporadic, so not so prim and proper, but make it look like it's been loved. And maybe, you know, in the olden days, in the Victorian days, it would have probably had gardeners that went round and, you know, did all of this and kept it nice and lovely, and, you know, better than probably what I've done here. So yeah, I was putting around quite a few things, and I think I grabbed like the lavender looking pieces from the debug menu. I did notice at first when I was using them, I was thinking, oh, these are really pretty and these are really unique to the actual, you know, world. But once I looked into it, I did actually go into the actual catalogue and find that they were exactly the same in the catalogue, so I could have used those, but it does bring the price down a little bit. It's not, you know, I'm not, because I used quite a bit of lavender, so if I had taken them out of the catalogue, it would have drove the price up more than what it already is, because I think in the end this build costs around 140 to 150,000 simoleons. So yeah, it's quite a hefty build. You know, if you want to move your sim in, you might have to work up to it, or just use those brilliant cheats and, you know, motherload, 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 motherload. And you could move straight in. And I'm actually pleased with this build. With me, I have a habit of looking at big builds and like getting really intimidated by them, and then thinking that I haven't done well enough or good enough, and then I kind of give up. Oh, it's one of the head, like, you know, the head spaces I need to get out of, because then I don't finish it and it just doesn't go very well. But yeah, here you can see I'm actually putting all of these grass or like vine patches around the bottom. I started doing this and then I realised it didn't actually look very nice. It looked a bit weird. So I then found some of the same kind of things, but they had like blue flowers in them as well, and I really loved them. I loved them better than the actual just plain green ones. Here, if you can see, I was just like, oh yeah, they look so much better, and they fitted in with the lavender a lot better than, you know, what the other ones did. And these sections have like curved edges to them, so they wasn't such a harsh line around the border of the flowers. They gave it a bit of a smoother rounded edge, which I actually really like. It made it look, you know, more realistic. And I cut out a lot of this because it was a bit time consuming and a bit tedious and annoying, because I don't know if it was the foundation or the bushes that I had around behind the lavender, but those grass sections kept just popping up and just kept moving around when I was trying to place them, and it was really quite annoying. So yeah, I just put loads of them around and used them in various different places where you would think flowers would grow. So yeah, I was actually really pleased with how it looked. I actually do really enjoy it. And now I'm looking back at it, I think to myself, I do want to play in this house now. It's quite pretty. And I really love lavender in real life. I really love lavender. I love lavender scented things. I have quite a few things that are lavender scented. I find it really calms me. It makes me feel a lot better. So I do tend to put a lot of lavender in my builds. I don't know if you guys have noticed, if you've watched any of my others. Obviously they will be linked in the end card at the end, but I do tend to put a little bit of lavender here and there, just around. And here I'm just using terrain paint just to make it look lived in, and I was really hoping that the terrain paint wouldn't vanish on me, because I did keep popping in and out of this build to have a break. So yeah, I was really hoping that it wasn't disappearing on me, because there is a bug that in the game, I don't think I've ever had it. I probably had it once where, you know, you've done all this terrain paint and it just disappears. So you've gone to all that, you know, all that trouble of the terrain paint looking just perfect, and you come back into the game after you've saved it or whatever, gone into manage worlds, whatever you've done, and it's gone. It's just gone, and it is the worst feeling. Your heart drops, just drops, and you know, it's not the greatest. So yeah, just be careful when you're doing terrain paint. And here I am trying to see if, you know, changing up the fences would be a good idea, because obviously that fence that I put down didn't have much privacy. So I was looking for another fence, and I thought that fence looked much better because it looked more Victorian, whereas the fence around the back garden actually gave you more privacy. So yeah, and I actually left a gap in the fence here, so you could actually access the, I know you'd have to go for a loading screen, but you could access the garden that's literally right behind this lot. If you do place this one on this lot, then you know you can access the garden and get really, you know, privileges, I guess, to the outside. So that was pretty cool. I found that really, really cool, because I was just like, oh wow, I didn't realise there was an actual garden behind this house, so it makes sense. So here I am, just putting in some of the stuff in the greenhouse, like the flower arranging table, the bee box outside. It made a lot of sense. And here I am just trying to find a table to go out here, look a bit rustic, and have a few of, you know, the tools outside that you would be using in order to, you know, garden, whatnot, do what you've got to do, putting some plants around. I was thinking of putting some of the leaves down here, but I don't know, it just didn't really make any much sense, so I thought to leave that out, because I mean, I guess leaves could brush in from the outside, but it just didn't. Obviously we haven't got individual leaves, which didn't look that great, so I could have gone in the debug menu and done it, but you don't want leaves anywhere, so so I thought, you know, I'll leave that out. Just placing some lights around the house, make it look nice. And this took me a while. I was trying to make the garden out here somewhere where you could sit out here, and then I scrapped that and was looking through the different terrain paints, seeing what I could use. Yeah, just trying to get something that looked nice, that looked like it had probably been there from the start. So, and I was just putting a base down, I believe, but I actually believe do I get rid of this or do I keep it? I think I may keep this one, because I was going through and seeing what could be used. Yeah, no, I don't, no. Okay, I don't actually keep it. I go for another one. See, I done this build a few days ago, like a week ago, so I don't remember fully what I did. But yeah, just putting some planter pots down, making it look all nice and proper, and putting some terrain paint so it looks like it's actually been used, making it all look lovely and complete. Put in, yeah, sprinklers. Obviously you've got to have a sprinkler around, so quite enjoyed that. And I enjoyed the terrain paint on this one. I think it made it look, terrain paint brings it all together. It just makes it look finished, and it's very pretty, so I did enjoy it. Oh, put in some extra things around, trying to make it look, you know, cohesive and nice. Putting somewhere for you to sit down and admire your work, your handy skills, hopefully. Trying to put in, I think, a tree here, making it look a bit fuller and nice. Yeah, adding more terrain paint again. This is why I was very scared that my terrain paint would just disappear after I've gone in there again and, you know, furnished the whole house. So wasn't very pleased about that. Thankfully it didn't. But we are getting to the end of the build. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you've had a smashing day. Obviously this will be up on my Gallery KiddChuckles, so I will speak to you guys soon. Bye guys.